Hello, everyone. We're about 1 minute before we officially kick off, but I usually like to take this time to kind of recap as to where we've been and where we are, and then where we're going to go. So let's look at where we've been. So we had started working our way down through the smaller aspects of the wire harness assembly, the terminals, the connectors, the coverings, the shrouds, the wire. We then worked our way through that model and we started working our way up to the wire harness assembly itself. Right? What is it comprised of? What does it look like? What's the terminology around it? And then we moved into repair. And on the repair side, you got an idea of the 6 inch rule, you got an idea of the 6 wire rule, you got an idea of what circuits are repairable, what need to be replaced. We looked at various types of damage. And then now we're going to start coming off the tail end of that, and we're going to start talking about protective coverings. There's a lot out there that you need to know, and it's usually the part that you see most of, right? The protective covering. So let's start. I'm going to work my way left to right, okay? And then we'll go through the table and kind of pick things out, and I'll show and demonstrate stuff to you as well. One of the most common types of protective covering is called split loom. And, or better yet, let me give you the broader term, convoluted tubing. This is convoluted tubing. Right? You see a lot of this. In the industry, there's the split loom, which I'm holding in my hand, and you can see why it's called split, right? Because it's cut right down the center. And then there's solid or whole tubing, right? Which isn't cut or split. So the wire needs to be fed through the tubing. What's interesting to note about this tubing or split loom is that it leaves some telltale marks. And what do I mean by that? Well, when a vehicle gets into a collision, for example, the split loom is usually one of those areas that tend to get compromised the most. And there are some telltale signs to it. Some things you really can't see, and I'm going to kind of demonstrate some of that. I had put markers on for myself because it's kind of hard to see. Oh, here's one. Let me flip this over. All right, so on this particular piece of split loom, there's a cut, right? Now you can't see it really. I mean, it blends in there pretty well, but look what happens when I start to flex. All right, there's my slit. Now, when you start thinking about sheet metal, glass, right, two objects being forced together, and it's easy to find a cut in split loom, and if you do, you need to open it up and see what's inside, right? You have to expose the wiring. You have to get in here. This is an area that gets overlooked a lot, right? If I close it again, you won't even know it's there. And this split loom or convoluted tubing flexes really, really well. So again, think of that. Spend time moving and adjusting and twisting your convoluted tubing. See if you can expose any of that. Another sign is crushed. Right? Let's see if I can find that crushed segment on here. Oh, this is really hard to find. I don't know if Katie can zoom in on that or not. That one's tough. That's tough. But what happened is an object came in contact with the convoluted tubing and basically creased it, but the tubing recoiled. It reflexed back to its original shape and left some telltale signs, very small indications here that it had been compromised. In addition, it leaves whitening. It's a plastic and it's black plastic, which helps. So when you work hardened plastic over and over again, and I'm sure you've seen it, you tend to get a white crease on it. And that's another telltale sign that the split loom has been compromised. So think about that as you're doing your inspection on the vehicle. Get into it, start moving it, twisting it, opening it, and looking for signs that might give you an indication that it's been crushed. So convoluted tubing comes in a couple of different sizes, as I mentioned, right? And I've seen it, boy, as large as 3 inches. I'm sure you folks have even seen it in highway drains, right? In highway drains, they have these very huge pieces of convoluted tubing. So again, it has some great properties to it. Some things that need to be mentioned with the convoluted tubings are the types of convoluted tubing. And you have to be really careful here. You just can't grab something off the shelf. and put it onto an assembly without knowing its purpose or use. And I'm going to give you an example of that. In this piece of convoluted tubing, and let's see if Katie can zoom in on that, this has a white tracer on it. This white tracer is telling me that this is high temp convoluted tubing, which means this is going to be in a hot section. I'm going to find this in areas near exhausts. I'm going to find this, again, in areas, not directly in contact with, areas where there might be exhaust, hot exhaust, maybe heat generated just through combustion. So again, be aware of these markings. Now these markings, these different colors tell me things, right? For example, this is white. It's telling me this is kind of high temp. I've seen blues, grays. So knowing the markings as you're inspecting your wire harness, you're going through it and you're like, ooh, I just can't put any type of split loom on this. I have to put high temp split loom. Another thing that's kind of good to know with split loom and identification is that split loom, because it is a plastic, right? And that static helps collect dust and also EMF. Very small amounts though. But even still, kind of ironic that they're trying to protect you against that, but then they put a product on it that absorbs it. So yes, convoluted tubing does have a static buildup to it. But again, there's alternatives to that. And one of them is called carbon black. They infuse the plastic with carbon, which essentially makes it conductive so that static doesn't want to build to it, right? It could dissipate it. So there is split loom out there that's considered carbon black. Again, know the area that you're working in. We're going to move. Well, I have this little tool here. This is kind of clever. I always like mentioning this. This is a tool that's used to slide tubing, convoluted tubing, over an object, or in this case, a wire harness assembly. They come in different sizes, and you would just close it off. Go back up a little bit. You would lay it in, close it off, and then you can feed the wire through the convoluted tubing. Splits it open for you because it's kind of hard to work with, right? It's really tight. So it'll allow you to split it open so you can lay in the wire assembly. Let's talk about another type of protective coating, and that's going to be our mesh. And mesh comes directly applied or pre-woven. Directly applied, let's talk about that one for a little bit because I don't have any examples of it. It's an expensive process and very labor intensive. It takes, could be easily a week to directly apply woven protective covering to a wire harness assembly. You'll find it on, again, heavy commercial vehicles. Again, a great wear resistance, right? But in our case, we have pre-woven, and the pre-woven also has indications or marks. Here's a good example. There's a white thread going through this pre-woven piece of weave, and that's telling me that this is also high temp, right? Which again goes up to maybe about 275. Which is really good temp range. Also, it has great wear properties, right? And look at the flexibility you can get out of this. This one is a fabric woven type of sheathing or covering. It comes in, again, varieties. Here's another one that's Velcroed. This is kind of nice. I like this. Again, when you're doing repairs, having this available to you is just great, right? I could get access to the wiring below it. I could then go ahead and reapply it. So there are Velcro types as well. This is just another example here of a heavier grade woven material. Again, looking at the weave, because that's pretty essential. Nice tight weave helps keep a lot of dust particles out there. And then I want to demonstrate how to apply it. This is really kind of an interesting thing. It's fun to play with, though. I do like this. Some of you might be aware this is a finger trap, right? Put your fingers in there and then try to pull it apart, can't get your fingers out. So the finger trap. Uh, when you're using this type of protective covering, this weave that's made of nylon, you should definitely use a hot knife. And I have a hot knife here. And I want to give you an idea of what happens when you don't use a hot knife. Say I'm going to go ahead and I want to apply this weave. I'm going to cut off a section of the weave, right? I have a spool of it in the back. I cut it. Terrific. Looks pretty nice. I want to now start applying my wire harness assembly or feed it through the bundle. When I do that, I need to loosen it up a little bit. And when I begin to loosen it, whoa, look at what happens. It frays like crazy. And you don't want that because obviously it just weakened the weave. So what's the alternative? Hot knife. Now, there are some products in the marketplace where you might have a butane torch, and those butane torches, I'm talking like pocket-sized butane torches, come with a hot knife tip, and you can use that to seal the edges. Um, I don't even know if I should say this one, but I'm going to throw it out there. You could use a lighter, right? Anything to secure the edges. So in this case, I'm going to use my hot knife, and I'm going to cut right through it. Boom. Loose strands, cut those off. And now I basically seal the edges, right? So now when I do my ballooning, this is called ballooning. When I do my ballooning, I don't have that problem anymore, the frayed edges exploding on me. So then the next thing is the application process. How do I apply this to my wire? Right? I'm going to take my weave and I'm going to push it inside on itself. Again, think Chinese finger trap here, right? So I just pushed it inside of itself and I created a nice round smooth edge, almost like a funnel look. See that? Then I'm going to put on my shrinkable tubing. I've said this a couple times, but for crying out loud, uh, at some point you're going to forget to put the shrinkable tubing on there, right? So always remember, do I need shrink tube? Yes, I better put it on now. So we'll go ahead and I'll feed it through the bottom in this case. Okay. Next thing is I'm going to feed my wire through the funnel. And I'm feeding and I'm feeding and I'm feeding, and out it comes through the back end. Right? I'm going to come over the top with my shrinkable tubing, and let me do a quick heat shrink on this. Turn off the hot knife. I'm going to run it down. And there we go. Nice sealed edge on the end, right? Secure. Don't have to worry about unraveling. I would do the same thing on the opposite end. I'd also put some shrink tubing on this, but that is pretty good for field repair. Now, say you have a bundle, another wire or branch that wants to come off of this branch. Don't cut the tubing. Don't cut the weave. If you cut it, it's just going to unravel again. So the recommendation is, if you do have an issue where you have to come through with another branch, balloon it, find a hole that you can sneak it through, and then sneak it through the weave. Pull it up through the weave, right? So you're going to balloon it, pull it through the weave, and then we can secure it. Maybe tape, right? Electrical tape around it, create a nice figure eight, and that should secure it. Okay, so again, no cutting, right? We want to sear it, maybe that might be a good word. All right, here's some other examples of what we can do when it comes to sealing or coverings. This is what's called a strain relief, right? Very flexible, and what it's doing, it's relieving the strain of the wire when it bends, right? So there's strain relief that's offered, and again, nice tight seal here. Move our way down to the other end, and also sealed. Now there's a technique to applying tape to convoluted tubing, and the tubing needs to be anchored to the wire bundle. So really, you're starting your tape first on the wire bundle, right? Getting a revolution or two, and then you're going to come back over with your split loom, and then pull the tape through the split, and then continue wrapping. Now you just anchored the tubing to your wire bundle. Okay, let's keep moving along. So what else do we have to show you? Another coating, spiral wrap. Right. Again, very good protector against abrasion, and the application process is kind of, I don't want to say tricky. It's just hard, right? It's just time consuming because you have to get it started, which I'm doing now, right? I'm going to get it going. And then it's now a matter of wrapping and wrapping and wrapping. It's almost like applying tape. Same type of method, right? I'm pulling it around. I'm pulling it around. I'll continue going down the path here. And make sure that you have no sharp edges when you're complete. So you have to blunt cut a lot of your edges, your start and finish usually. But this is, again, you can have spacing or gaps in it. It's okay. But typically it wants to recoil anyway to a more closed position. But look at the offering here. Again, the flexibility, right? And I guess it's a little easier to install than I thought. But again, keeping it clean is everything. We talked a little bit about the strain relief. Here's another form, boots, right? We can apply boots to the back of this to offer some strain relief, and again, protect the back side of the connector, especially against moisture. So boots are pretty essential. Say, for example, you have a problem where the boot got dry rotted, for example, and it split or cut, and this is unavailable unless you buy the complete assembly. You can consider going back over it with a weave. You could go back with the weave because it'll give you that flexibility you're looking for, and then you can tape it. You'll get basically the same type of protection, obviously much better, and that's what it was designed to do. But it is an option as well. You could go back with a weave. Let's keep moving forward, and let's take a peek at potting. So that's another technique that's part of protective covering. For example, this item here, we're going to be filling this cavity back here with a potting compound. That potting compound will, one, protect the terminals from corrosion, and again, help offer a little bit of strain relief once it's centered and in place. And again, notice hot temp, high temp, right? High temp split loom. And this is an example of, let me make sure, yeah, this is a solid. This isn't split. So as you can see, as I'm moving it around, it's not opening. So again, solid split loom. Nice shrink tubing job on the end. So this is really, yeah, this is a pretty good example of high potting in here, which we'll have to get to. I'm going to keep going down the path because I wanted to talk about another type of protective coating or covering, and that's shrouds. Shrouds, troughs, channels, a couple of different names to it, but this is definitely a type of protective covering. And I know you've seen it. Here's something that I want you to consider. If you're in a position where one of these are damaged or is damaged, and it's only available if you buy a complete assembly, we can 3D print this. And on our channel, we have a video of a 3D printed trough or shroud. It was provided to us from a customer, so we have a good video that kind of explains the process of what we do to 3D print these channels. And the materials available now for 3D printing, phenomenal stuff. Phenomenal stuff. The material that we're using to 3D print is the same material that this was manufactured in during the injection molding process. So yeah, 3D, right? Bigger the object, more costly. There are back shells, right? This could go on the back of a connector housing. Here's another example. Again, keeping dust or cover off. All these little pieces again. Remember when I brought the assembly onto the table at the end of our first session? I said, and this is what it comprised of. These things are in addition to what that harness assembly comprises of. And each one of these serves a purpose. And the whole gist of this is to restore it back the best you can to do a repair that will give you as close as possible to an OEM application. Also, 3D printable materials. So we talked a little bit about convoluted tubing, spoke about weaving, discussed rubber boots and back shells. Well, let's not forget we have to tape this closed. So tape is a pretty essential part of the wire harness assembly. It does more than just give it a look. It helps define it, helps waterproof it, helps reduce um, intrusions, also provides great marking and identification. And here's an example of marking and identification. When for example, orange is now being touted as an identifier for high voltage systems, like on your hybrids, right? This is a good example of part of a hybrid wire harness assembly. Again, the orange kind of indicates that it's high voltage, and the taping, and if you notice the coloring of the split loom, also orange. So yeah, split loom comes in a variety of colors. You can get basically, and now they're out there in neon. So if you have, if you want to really give a little pop to your engine compartment, think about that. Adding some colored split loom to your wire harness assembly. Looks really cool. So again, orange tape, high voltage. Yellow is starting to become synonymous, or has been for a while, with the supplemental restraint system, right? If you see it, you have to think twice that something underneath there is related to the supplemental restraint system. So look out for yellow taping. I want to mention very quickly on tape, and I'm not too sure if you can see this, but I'm going to kind of demo real quick. You don't want to pull and stretch to break, right? You don't want to do that to get a piece of tape off. This doesn't adhere very well at all, right? And you lost its property. What you want to do is cut it. So if you're out in the field, you might have a utility knife, may have a scissors, very handy, and just give it a slice. Nice and clean, no stretching, right? And now you could apply it with a nice half-inch, in this case it's a half-inch, half the width of the tape overlap down the wire assembly. Tapes serve uses and purposes. This is cloth, and cloth you probably find on your interiors. It does a lot of good stuff. You know, when this comes in contact, cloth, with other cloth, it's almost like a Velcro. And it helps reduce the vibration and the shifting. Okay, so cloth tape, if it's calling out for it, use it. Now, this is a tape that we've really grown fond of. It's used in the engine compartment. You'll see it in a lot of places in the interior as well. Very good at abrasion, right? It helps protect against abrasion. Again, this is one of those tapes where you shouldn't tear it, you should cut it. And this is called chloroplast. Chloroplast has been around for quite some time. It doesn't stretch very well, but boy, oh boy, when you wrap it, it is there to stay. And it will last a very long time. It's hard to remove that once it's in place. It doesn't unravel very well. So chloroplast, great replacement for tapes in the engine compartment, areas where, again, high abrasion, vibration, etc. So we then move our way into heat tapes or heat resistant tapes, and this is a good example of one. You'll find this down near your exhaust areas, and here's an example of one. Let me see if I can unravel this for you. Yeah, here we go. All right. There we go. There's some heat resistant tape, right? highly reflective, you can tell. And this is a tube, so it had to be slid down into the wire bundle. And this is a wrap. So we would wrap it to give you the same effect like here. This is a good example. Here you see the wrap. It looks really untidy, right? Doesn't it? As opposed to using, say, a vinyl tape. But heck, it's definitely going to serve the purpose. And look what's right next to it, the chloroplast, right? So that tells you something about this tape. That wow, they're very comfortable putting a chloroplast right next to your heat resistant or tape, which is really worth noting. So chloroplast, and here's another thing: you could tell it's hard to apply as well. Right? Look at again, it doesn't look as neat as vinyl, but serves a tremendous purpose. Tremendous purpose. Let's work our way down to one of our last items, and that's going to be overmolding. Here's an example of an overmolded connector. It's impossible to depin this without cutting into the overmolding, right? And this process of overmolding is very similar to plastic injection molding. We have capability and we have sources to duplicate the overmolding of some connectors, not all of them. Like anything else, it's a particular design for that build. But this will give you an idea of another protective cover, overmolded connectors. Older vehicles, older Mercedes-Benz, for example, used a lot of overmolding, and we've had questions about whether we can remanufacture one of those. And we always ask them, okay, do you have any connectors that are overmolded? And if the reply is yes, well, then we're going to have to find an alternative, right? We're going to have to provide a connector, maybe with a different type of overmolding, because we don't want to tool up to overmold one connector, right? So we have to pick our battles. The other quick protective cover is protective coating. Uh, we've used this and we've recommended protective coating in swamp areas. So say you have, for example, a wire harness assembly that was subjected to water intrusion. This is a great product. It can, and there's many like this. I'm not at all branding this. We don't even sell it. It's just a good usable item. You can spray this on your terminals and it helps dissipate it and coat it at the same time. So, and I would use it liberally. It's a really good product. You can spray it anywhere where there's a metal, and it pretty much does the same thing. The last thing I want to talk about, and again, there's certain things that I really hesitate getting into, but this is going to be one of them, liquid tape. It's not a repair, right? If anything, it's cosmetic. So if you have if you have cosmetic damage, maybe your insulation is slightly scrubbed or slightly chafed. This would probably be the application for it. For us, no, we would just replace it. But if you're in the field, do you really want to remove a wire assembly because you have a wire that's slightly been rubbed or chafed? No, I suppose that might be a good application for liquid tape. But again, another product to consider while you're out there. I hope that kind of answered any questions you might have about protective coverings. We have one more day left. We have Wednesday. And on that session, we're going to look at some future technology, things that you're going to see on the wire harness assemblies today that haven't been discussed up to this point, as well as quality control and testing in the field. So again, thank you very much. Good to see you again. I just enjoyed doing these and reaching out and touching you folks. So have a great week, and I'll see you on Wednesday.